Hello and welcome to another What Sold video. This is everything that sold for me on Pango and eBay from April 13th to April 19th. I'm going to scoot over here and we're going to talk about Pango first. I sold, and Miss Moxie is apparently going to join us. Do you want to say hi to everybody, Miss Moxie? Hello. She's just going to be down here where you guys can't see. I'm sorry. I sold these two books. One is Go Set a Watchman by Harper Lee. I have bought and sold this book multiple times at this point. I pick it up whenever I find it at the bins, as long as I don't have too many copies already currently in my inventory. I don't anymore. They're all gone. This was the last one to sell. And then The Uncommon Reader by Alan Bennett. Actually, this is the copy I read and reviewed on my book channel. If you are interested in finding out what The Uncommon Reader is, I will link that video up above, or just want to check out my book channel. It'll be there. So I have a total of 75 cents into this set of books, and it sold on Pango, as you can see, for my full asking price for both. And so $5.60 is the amount I made. If you subtract the 75 cents, that means I made a total of $4.85 because I can do math. Another big surprise, The Hunger Games. I'm guessing because of the new book that just came out, The Reaping, The Sunrise of the Reaping, I think is the name of the new book in the series. But now that that book is out, the original Hunger Game books are selling again, which is great. This copy of Catching Fire, I find Hunger Game books pretty frequently at the bins, like legitimately all the time. And now I can start picking them up again and selling them because they do sell. I've actually sold on Pango the original trilogy, and now this one lone Catching Fire book sold for $3.25. So I paid 50 cents for this at the bins. I made $2 off this book, off of a book literally 5 years ago. Well, no, when did that last movie come out? The one that did the Lucy Gray, like the first Hunger Games? I don't know. When I first started reselling, the Hunger Game books, you could not give them away, and now they're like selling again. So this is great. And then the last set of books I have to share with you is actually Goosebumps. These are the original 90s and Y2K era Goosebumps. So this is Ghost Camp and Say Cheese and Die Again. I sold these for $7. So Goosebumps will sell well on Whatnot, Pango, and eBay. All three of those I've had great luck selling. The original Goosebumps, not the reprints, the modern reprints, but the original ones. They sell well. I have a total of 50 cents into these books, so I made $5 off of this. Again, Pango does take 40 cents and or 20%, whichever one is greater, depending on how much, of course, you like offer the book up for. And then I offer a 10% off discount if they spend $10. They did not spend $10. Nobody spent $10 in these ones that I've shown you, so it's just the platform fee that comes off. But yeah, I do actually sell bundles pretty well on Pango. And I'm going to scoot over here. Miss Moxie is going to have to move. There she is again. She is chunky. Baby girl, you getting chunky. Pleasantly plump, I'm sure, is what people would rather I call you. This is Armand V by Dag Solstead. I've talked about the Right Place, Right Time restore buy I did, where I was just at the restore when I guess a bookstore went out of business and donated all of their books. I bought a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them. This was a brand new book. It was a bunch of brand new trade paperbacks, classics, and a lot of vintage science fiction and fantasy. I moved most of the science fiction and fantasy on Whatnot, like super quick. It was awesome. I sold this book for $10, and this one was one of the few ones that still had free shipping on it. Again, I've been moving everything to where it's not free shipping anymore. After discovering Pango, I don't have to do that anymore. Next sale is a vintage cookbook. I love picking up vintage cookbook at the bins. This is a hardcover. It sold for $12.87, my full asking price, and the buyer paid for shipping. I paid 50 cents for this book. I love that for me. It's normally, as far as vintage cookbooks go, it's a condition, where it is, and then I will look at the index to see what kind of recipes are in there. Sonker is a recipe to look out for, and then just like game, if there are game recipes on there. And but what I mean by game recipes, I'm like raccoon, possum, bear, squirrel, like muskrat, like that kind of like actual venison recipes, like that kind of food stuff. Those also do really well for me as well. But yeah, game and fishing recipe books also do super well, even if they're not vintage. I pick those up when I find them too. This is also a Ben's pickup. This is Stuart Weitzman. You guys saw me when I went through and finally listed all of my shoes that I had. This was one of them. I picked these up at the Ben's. They were snakeskin and actually in good shape. You do have to be careful with snakeskin to make sure that all of the scales are, one, present, and two, not flaking off. This one, these were actually in really good shape despite the fact they were from the 90s. I did recondition them, and Stuart Weitzman isn't as popular as it was, 6 years ago. But they still sold for $20. I paid $3.50 for these at the Ben's. This is a Tommy Bahama shirt. I know people don't like picking this up anymore. I still pick it up when I find it. I've bought and sold lots of Tommy Bahama over the last 6 years. It does sit for a little bit longer, but it did sell for $17.87 in the buyer paper shipping, which is awesome. I also pick up vintage scarves when I find them, especially at the Ben's when they're like literal pennies. This sold for $4 and I paid pennies for this at the Ben's. So very happy with that. This is one of the first ties I ever purchased when I decided to start reselling and like doing like accessories. And you can see it sold for $5. I've had it since 2021, which is insane to me. So this tie took 4 years to sell. I've gotten much better about both picking out ties to resell, describing ties to resell, photographing ties to resell, and storing ties to resell. The reason why this tie sold is because of the fact I updated the pictures, I fixed the title, and then I fixed the item specifics so it was more accurate. Like when I list ties now, I say if it's a traditional tie or a standard tie or a new standard tie or a skinny tie or a wide tie. Like I go through all of that. If you guys want me to make a video just talking about ties, I will do that. I feel like that would be only a small handful of you that would be interested in learning about ties. But I love buying and selling them. I am much better at it now. This was definitely the first and hopefully the last learning experience I have with ties, but I'm just glad it finally sold. This is a cross-stitch pattern, a set of cross-stitch patterns. This is Amalin's Potties and Pastels set. I think there are a total of 4 of these. I only found 2 of them. They sold for $6.14 and the buyer paid for shipping. I don't know if they charged me 25 cents each for these or if she just like charged me 25 cents for the whole stack of them. I'm not sure, because it was literally like a folder. So I'm not sure if they gave me household rate for those or if they actually charged me for the paperback. It doesn't matter. It's still cheap. This is the best book sale. I actually got this at the book bundler buy I did. This is the Neutronium Alchemist, Consultation and Conflict by Peter F. Hamilton. This is one of his harder to find books, especially in hardcover. So now you know if you find this out in the wild to maybe pick it up. I was originally going to list it on Whatnot, and then because I had never heard of this book by him before and I'd never seen it before, I was trying to debate if I wanted to keep it or if I put it up on Whatnot, and then I scanned it and I found out how much it was worth, and so I put it up on eBay. It sold for my full asking price of $44.87, which is an awesome sale considering I paid $2 for this, and I am so far into the profit in that sale anyway. It's pretty much just pure profit. This is a Ben's pickup. I will pick up surfwear brands as well as, outdoor brands, like mall brands at the Ben's if I like the style, mostly because it's super cheap. And this was a lightweight burnout tank top, and it had like this beautiful beadwork all the way around the top, and all the beads were intact, which at the Ben's is amazing. It sold for $9.26, and the buyer paid for shipping. So I'm really happy with that because I probably have like less than 50 cents into that top. Pair of Nike dry fit shorts. These are courtesy of Melissa. These were in one of the goodie bags. I'm sure she thought that I would wear these, but these were actually too big for me because I am now a size small. So thank you, Melissa. Unfortunately, these did not fit me, but they did sell for $7.87, and I am very grateful for you, Melissa. She didn't buy them for me. She gifted me a bag of like athletic wear to sell, so because she doesn't like selling it, whereas she says it doesn't move for her. I'm not sure which of the two it is. It might be both, but yeah, I don't mind listing shorts because it's basically a top because it's so short. It's just when they get long and you have to do all the measurements that I have a hard time doing them. This is another thing for the book bundler. There was an entire complete set of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, all in the movie edition from the 90s, and it sold for $10. And the buyer paid for shipping, which is perfectly fine for me. I will pick up good condition Lord of the Rings Hobbits and just hold on to them until I collect a matching set. You don't necessarily have to have a matching set, but because there are so many different sets, I find that when you have a matching set, it does sell faster and better. Another book. This is again another recipe book. This I picked up, I believe, at that church book sale I did. So I have very little into this because it was like $10 a bag. And so it sold for $5.47 and the buyer paid for shipping. So love that. Pair of vintage Y2K LEI Juniors pants. I believe these were a gift from Melissa. So Melissa, thank you again. Sold for $24.87. Again, Y2K low rise, and these were true low rise. They weren't Gen Z low rise, which is actually mid rise. These were like true Y2K low rise jeans. They had a 9-inch rise, but because they were juniors and they were size 11, like that's about roughly what the highest low rise you could get at the time period would be. Like ultra low rise is like a 7-inch rise. The normal low rise is 8, but 9 is normal for when you get above a size 10. You don't need to know that. Anyway, $24.87 for a pair of LEI jeans, which is insane to me. These two shorts actually went to the same buyer. I had both of these in my own closet. I bought these for myself because I couldn't fit in my small shorts anymore, so I had to buy mediums. But now I don't fit into my medium shorts anymore, so I have to go back to my smalls, which I kind of all sold. So this has been fun for me, which is why I'm glad I'm resell clothing, because I don't have to pay full retail to replace clothes. One sold for $6.87, the other one sold for $7.87. You know, just basic shorts. I'm surprised that they both sold, but they did. And I was able to combine shipping, and I refunded part of the shipping to the buyer because, you know, it didn't cost that much to send two very lightweight training shorts to them. This is another thing from my personal closet. This is from the Y2K. It is Y2K Forever 21 because that's when I bought it from Forever 21. This was a very see-through shirt. I wore this quite a lot. I especially like to wear it with bright orange corduroys. Low-rise corduroys. Yep, that was the outfit I made with this. It sold for $6.14. The buyer paid for shipping. I've had this for roughly 15 years, 20 years. I've had these for a long time, so I'm happy with that. Alma Lynn, another cross-stitch pattern. This is from the Bed and Breakfast collection. Sold for $4.87. Again, you guys have told me not to take pictures of the insides. I just took a picture of when the year was, and not the full pattern, just the year. So I could say like, yes, this is actually from the 80s, and then like the guide of what colors or what embroidery floss to pick up. Anyway, it sold for $4.87. I have 25 cents or less into this. I love picking up vintage cross-stitch patterns when I can find them. They sell well. They can sell well. Sometimes they sell really well and sometimes they sit. But most cross-stitch patterns are like literally just a folded piece of cardstock. So it doesn't take up any space. But I hope this was interesting to you guys. Again, it was a decent, eclectic set of sales. A lot of books, some cross-stitch patterns, sold a pair of shoes, and some clothes. But thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Until then, bye. Bye. And though to make sure that they didn't dehydrate and flake off. Oh, I'm like fondling you guys over here. I'm sorry about that. I did have to, because I was like, what is this thing on my shoulder? This is uncomfortable. It's the microphone.